I have to say that I was wrong for the second time. For the second time. But it's okay. Okay? It is okay. The Duke versus Clemson homecoming game of 2025, literally one historic battle. For the first time since 1980, Duke actually got a win in Death Valley at that. So this is definitely an upset, although Duke is in they're going to continue to be obviously at this point, but Duke was coming in having a win over Clemson at 4-3, and Clemson was 3-4. So it's like when I said at the beginning of my video, I was like, okay, I in my mind, I always feel like people who win the homecoming game, there's just so much emotion that goes into it. You have alumni, family, friends, so many people just coming in because usually your homecoming game is one of your biggest games of the year. And that's across the board, right? And I felt like something was off when I first, got to campus. And I got to campus like that. Like, okay, this is a little weird. And mind you, it was very, very early. I think having a noon kickoff, I guess, ESPN or whoever set it up, but I was like, oh my goodness. It was so early. So I understood that part of it being early. And then, yesterday was Halloween. So people were out. And like even when we got into the game, the student section was a little scarce at first. The lawn wasn't as packed as it usually was. There was seats at the top, and where the guys actually did the no shirt tarps off challenge. So I mean, I just felt like, the energy was a little bit off. The atmosphere was a little bit off. And it was also cold. And I just, I don't like being cold. But it was like, okay, still, it's homecoming. Like in my mind, homecoming is like the Disney World of college football season. It is the Disney World. It's when the magic is supposed to happen. Okay, I guess because when I went to college, they were like, we always want to win our homecoming game. If we don't win no other game, we want to win a homecoming game, and like our biggest rivalry game, we wanted to win that one as well. So obviously coming into this, I definitely thought that, Clemson was going to take it. I said it loud and proud. I said it on other podcasts. I said it, okay? I'm not shying away from that because I said it. And they were so close. They were so close to winning it. 45-46. Tight game. Way tighter than I expected. And I had said previously too, I felt like Duke just makes stupid and small mistakes that eventually cost them the game. And they almost did at that point. They almost did a few times. And when I looked at both these teams, I'm like, these teams are just as good as each other. And that's something that's just like mind-blowing because Duke has always been known as a basketball school. When you immediately say Duke, you immediately think of basketball. You think of, Coach K and the legacy that he built over there. And that's what you think of when you say Duke University. Right, most people in terms of the sports world. And when you hear Clemson, you hear about you think about the dominance that they've had for so long, for season upon season upon season. Even last season, them not having the absolute greatest season, but still becoming the ACC champions. So I was like, okay, these teams are literally just as good as each other. And to me, 45 points, 46 points, that's a lot of points. That's a high scoring game to me. And then I'm wondering, well, where's the defense at in all of this? Because was it on the field? Was it in the room with us? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it was. Okay, like Clemson's defense came up, with a few plays that they needed to have, and it's like, okay, cool. But then it was like, okay, well, where are y'all at? And then the viral clip, as we were sitting at the game, the clip is all over the timelines of Dabo yelling at Khalil Barnes and the other players on the bench, and they're like, now it's he's lost the locker room. He doesn't have their respect. They don't care. They want him to get away from him. They're just over the season. And we can't say yay or nay to that. I mean, everybody's going to have their perception on that clip, but that was just not the extra energy that they even needed at that moment. They just needed to like lock in, right? And like I said, I feel as though that Duke left points on the board at least twice. Like just either silly mistakes or their quarterback just like kind of folds under pressure, like missing open shots to get in the end zone. Just stuff. But at the end of the day, they stuck it out and they won the game, which I'm still surprised. Okay, I am surprised. I'm very surprised. And it's like, okay, Clemson got some work to do. But I've been saying that. I've been saying that. I've been saying that since the beginning of the season when when they lost to LSU. Then when they um, lost to SMU, and now today. So I feel like kind of like what Dabo said, like in order to beat, in order to win, you have to not beat yourself. And I think that's true. I think that both sides and had mistakes that's just like, what is y'all doing? In my opinion, they didn't get a lot of penalties and things called, so at least they're disciplined in that area. But they still have a lot of work to do, and they have 4 games left. In the post game conference, Cade Klubnik he came through the door, and he was just super emotional from the start. Came in barefoot, walking like, he said, "Oh gosh," and I dropped his head and everything, and teary eyed because like this is, as he said, I only have a few days left here, so he's trying to win out for the remainder of the season. They do have 4 games. They play Florida State, Furman, South Carolina, and Louisville. I feel like they could win at least 3 of the 4 games. And I know some people are like, that's generous, but I feel like they should beat Furman. I mean, Furman is not even, then that's no tea, no shade. But Furman is nowhere near what Clemson should be. So I think they'll win that one. Florida State has been, they've been fighting for their lives since beating Bama. So I don't know. I don't know if Florida State's going to be showing up, but it is a night game. It's at home for Clemson. The last time it was at home, it was lit, and it was a day game. So I have faith that they could win that one. Only because like FSU is just not the FSU that, we've seen the past even like 2 seasons, 3 seasons. And Clemson has a leg up with consistently beating them. I mean, they had a leg up on Duke, so I guess that's good. Louisville, I think it depends on what Louisville team shows up. Louisville is not going to be a slouch team, though. They're not going to be a team that's going to be easy to beat. They should already know that coming in. And then South Carolina, I feel like South Carolina has been having their struggles. They started off like dominating, really hot, and then they got really lukewarm. And I think South Carolina is like any given day, but I feel like that game is when both sides play their absolute hardest. It's their last game of the season. Well, yeah, for Clemson, it'll be their last game of the season. So I feel like they're really going to try to go out with the bang, and especially it's their last home game. No, they're away this year. So no, so Furman is the last home game. So it's their last game of the season. They're going to be on the road. So William Bryce is going to be lit up. Do you understand me? Lit up. But anyway, I'm supposed to be talking about Clemson and Duke, and I'm talking about South Carolina. But anyway, this won't be long. I'm about to get off of here because we all seen what happened. I know in post game, I'm going to repost post game as well. I'm going to enhance that audio, but it was live. So the next home game, the post game, will be up there as well. But I felt like, I mean, Dabo was a little chippy to me, and rightfully so. You just faced a loss, and you probably shouldn't have lost. What I do want to commend Duke on, and Duke for doing, is taking that very risky opportunity with 40 seconds left and going for the 2-point conversion. I don't know what football gods came and sung down from the heavens for them to get that playoff, but it was like effortlessly at that. So I don't know if like Clemson special team or whoever was out on the field just like, didn't read it, didn't know. I'm not really sure what happened there, but it was like effortless. He just literally just like walked right into the end zone. So they played it risky and it actually worked out in their benefit. I think though that they definitely have to increase that defense over there for Duke. I don't know what is good. Allowing 45 points. That's a no go. That's a no go. And same with Clemson, allowing 46 points. That's a no go. Like the defensive schemes on both sides need to get extremely better. Extremely better. And again, 4 games left on the season. This is Clemson's turn to really just turn it around. They're supposed to win all in November. I mean, that was the thing. The last 2 seasons, it was like we want to win out in November. We don't lose in November, and it's November 1st. So but they got 4 more times. They got 4 more games. So maybe they can just close it out. But I did feel sorry for them because a lot of them were just super, like the players that we saw in post game were super overwhelmed with emotion, and it's like, wow, that sucks for them. It really does, but that's just the nature of the beast in a battle at a game. This Clemson team is not the Clemson team that a lot of people are used to seeing. So at the end of the day, I understand you want to be great every single year, but sometimes, especially in this new age of football, if the program is not going to change and adjust, and people have said this, like the program needs to change and adjust a little bit. And if it's not going to do that, at the end of the day, this team may struggle. I mean, I know Dabo is super duper like the freshmen that are on this team now, by the time they get to their senior year, they're going to have at least won a championship. And he was like, I can promise you that every year, all 17 classes have all won a championship, which this, at some point. So he was like, they're definitely going to do that. Don't get tired of winning because we're going to get back to winning. And I think that's the right answer. Like that's what he's supposed to say. And that's the most politically correct way to go about it. But I also feel like there's a little bit of realization that needs to come on that flip side. Like football is changing and evolving. The NIL has changed the landscape of college football, of all sports, really. The transfer portal be hot and popping and all of that stuff. So I feel like it's back to the drawing board for Clemson. I feel like Dabo is going to be fine. I don't think that I don't think that his job is on the hot seat. I mean, I know some people think that it is. Me personally, I just don't think so. He's been there for so super duper long. Clemson, in the way that they handle their at least when it comes to Dabo, I feel like it reminds me of how Pittsburgh is when handling Mike Tomlin. Is it a thing where could the coach stay too long? I'm not really sure, but he's had great success since he's gotten there, since he's took over as interim. And they said the last time it's been like this cuckoo crazy was, 2010. So that's 15 years ago. So for 15 years since then, he has been on top of the game and really putting Clemson, keeping them at the top, at least at the top of the ACC. So I don't think that this season here, I think that the front office have seen all this before. The president on them has seen this before. They trust Dabo. They like Dabo. Dabo is basically a part of that Clemson family, and that's what Clemson runs on, being a family and being all in. So I don't think that his job is up for anything, for grabs. I don't foresee that, at least not right now. So I don't feed into that chatter that I keep continuously seeing on that. But it is going to be very interesting to see how the adjustments are made for Clemson coming in to next week facing Florida State, another hard team. So it's going to be another hard team because they fight hard when it comes to each other, and just seeing the adjustments that they make. I think Antonio Williams and Adam Randall do really great on offense, but they cannot be the only ones leading the offense. Cade Klubnik was, in my opinion, a little more in the box today, and he's coming off of an ankle injury, so that makes sense for him to not be just running the ball like he normally do and taking off. Like he has to really, sit in the pocket and try to make plays, and he's going to have to do that getting into the pros as well. Like, yeah, you're going to be able to take off, but you also got to be able to make some plays while you're in the pocket. So I feel like utilizing TJ Moore some more would be really helpful. And they really need a strong tight end that is always like, that is what really helped Duke take this game over the edge. The tight ends that they have on that roster. Jeremiah Hazley was there on point, 56-yard catch. He's wide open catch to get him down the field. Earlier in the game, I believe it was number 87. I don't have the stat sheet thing in front of me, but I believe it was number 87. He gets them wide open into the end zone. So the tight ends, people sleep on the tight ends for whatever reason, but they need a really, 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 really good tight end. Somebody that's stocky, sturdy, hard to get down, and that they just forget that they're there and they just leave them wide open. I think that's super, super duper duper important. And to me, that was one of the things that made the game change. I think the 2-point conversion that going through, I think both tight end plays, because one ended up for a touchdown and one got them down the field to be able to then get a touchdown. So the tight end play. And of course, I know everybody, before I get off here, everybody was talking about, the DPI call that was called on Clemson at the very last call. So looking back at the film, and I know, Dabo said it was supposed to be OPI, not DPI. I get it. Everybody's saying that. Everybody's saying it should have been OPI or whatever. But if you go back and look at the footage or look at the film, it takes you a minute to really focus on what you're doing because of the angle that it gives you. And that's the only thing about TV, right? You got all these different angles. Like, just show me one angle, bro. But you see him coming off the line. He's actually holding him as he goes down. He's holding him past 5 yards. And then when they come on that route and they come to come slant in, he is still technically holding him. And then the ball is thrown into his direction. And to my understanding, once the ball is being thrown to the receiver, it now enhances from being a defensive hold to a defensive pass interference. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that, but that's how I understand it. Although they were tussling, and you can see it, they were tussling a little bit. And at the end, when he noticed the ref was looking at him, he threw his hands up like, "Oh my God," and went back to do a little foley fall, and it was like a little floppy flop, but he still got called for it because before he fell and got to it, they were interacting. They were getting heavy. They were getting busy. So you have to watch the full clip. And like I said, it's take you a minute to adjust your eyes to see. But he goes down past 5 yards. He's holding. He comes across, and then he says, "Oh no, I'm not. I wasn't. It wasn't me." And then the ref said, "It was you. It was you." And that's how they got the touchdown. So whether you agree with me or not, you don't have to. I'm just saying, when I looked at it, some people are saying it's a terrible call. Some people are saying it's the right call. Some people are saying, well, the inconsistency with, the penalties. Okay, there's inconsistency with penalties because there was other plays where they were supposed to be holding and the holding wasn't called. Blase, blase, blase. Officiating is never perfect, and we know that. So let's not act surprised and let's not be like, pretend, we know officiating is not perfect. But regardless if you agree with me or not, that was a change of momentum. However, if Clemson was already just beating them outright, that wouldn't have been the change of momentum. That wouldn't have been the game, or the play that they felt changed the game, and that's why they lost the game. No. And if we want to go a step further, once they did get the call and they got the first down and he's down in the red zone, now it's your time for your defense to step it up. It's your time for your defense to hold the line. Force them to have to kick a field goal or force them to have to go for it on 4th down. That's not what happened. They got a touchdown. And then they got a 2-point conversion right after that. So, yeah, maybe that call was not a great call for some, or it was the right call for others. But that's really not what lost you the game. What lost you the game is allowing them to then score on you and then allowing them to have a 2-point conversion. That was the problem there. And that's just my opinion. That's just what I saw. But I wanted to get this done because your girl was tired. Okay, your girl is tired. I'm about to go to bed. But that is my game day recap for Clemson versus Duke University for the 2025 homecoming game. Again, Duke did win this game in a very historic fashion, 46-45. This is the first time since 1980 that Duke has beat Clemson, and they happen to do it in Death Valley. So it's very rewarding for Duke's program, very rewarding to see the players, how they stick it out and how they played to the very, very end on both sides. But this is just something to basically shake things up, to look back at it as a moment of reflection to see where you get better and where you could really just use to enhance. I feel like everything's always about getting better. If you lose, you definitely have to get better. Even if you win, you definitely have to get better. But that is my game day recap. Please make sure you're checking out the other videos. I am going to repost the post game with Dabo Sweeney, and that will be on the page. So make sure you're liking this video, make sure you're subscribing and following me on the other social media platforms at PT Love Sports. Again, this is Pretty Girls Love Sports. I am Des, and I will see you guys on the next game. Okay, I'm